Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Homefront Harmony, the podcast made for military families to provide them with the resources they need for mental health, financial, or better well-being. I am your host, Stevie Dahl, and I'm very excited about today's guest. It's always great when we get to have a veteran in with us today. And today we have Micah. Micah, how are you, my friend?
I am very well, Stevie. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here with us. Now, just to give them a little bit of background, so you served, what made you go into the military? What was that thought process?
Yes, ma'am. So 20 years ago in 2000, I was a kid from Chicago growing up, and, I ended up having my first daughter at the time. And, I was looking for ways and opportunities to take care of my family. And, I could have went to college, but then Air Force was the option for me.
Okay.
And 20 years and 4 days later, after retiring, I don't regret a second of it.
Well, thank you so much for your service, first of all. I appreciate it. I love it. What actually did you end up doing? Like, did you have a path you wanted to go in the Air Force?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm aerospace propulsion superintendent, craftsman.
That's
so
fancy.
That's a big name for jet engine mechanic, right? So came in as a jet engine mechanic in the year 2000, and I was stationed out at Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
And that was my first duty station. And, it was night and day from, growing up in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
But in high school, I had an electronics background.
Okay.
And so transitioning to, working on airplanes, it was a big fancy name, but something exciting that was, like I said, and just never looked back afterwards.
That's awesome. I love it when there's a natural talent that you have that you can segue into your career and into where you work into. So I think that's awesome that you kind of favored in that electronic world and it just took you even further on it. So what kind of engines did you work on?
So I worked everything from the Pratt Whitney's F-100s to the GE General Electric F-110s, transitioned from the fighter aircraft on over to heavies. I've done so much and worked with just aircraft maintenance throughout my whole entire, career that, it's such vast difference to everything. But like I said, a wrench turner by trade, and I enjoy getting my hands dirty just the same, so.
That's awesome. And it's fascinating. We had a guest on a few episodes ago, and he actually is a fighter pilot with the Air Force. And he was commander over at Nellis, over the Thunderbirds when COVID happened. He was what helped get the flyovers going over the cities and everything with them. But he was talking about how different that world is when you work together. And like in COVID, when we all had to stand so many feet apart and we all had to wear the masks and everything, working on engines and stuff, you can't do that and do the job right, and you kind of got to make your adjustments appropriately to do that.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that would depend too, also the size of engine as to how many people.
Yeah. So it's close quarters, it's tight knit, right? But you know what it is? It really does create a camaraderie amongst us, brothers, if you will.
Yeah.
And, it's a one to where you see how the mission gets accomplished, what everyone's involved, everyone from, the mechanics to the fighter pilots to everything in between with age and everything that all of us, that encompasses to get the actual mission done. And, it's about that. That's what I've really learned from the whole 20 years was that, the little bit, you're a small speck, if you will, to make something bigger happen and get the mission accomplished. And that resonates to this day.
I love that because that is one of the things I talk about a lot in here is the strength of the community.
Absolutely.
I will meet people. And I just mentioned that my father served.
Yes.
And I have instant family no matter where I go. I have people who would protect me and take care of me just like I'm one of their own because that's just how that community is. And I think a big strength in how that's built is from the service members and their spouses during the time of service. Absolutely. Developing those relationships. I mean, when I was a kid, we knew all our neighbors. You barbecued together, you hung out and you played with everybody and stuff.
Absolutely.
And now I know my neighbor across the street. She's very nice.
Yeah,
It's just a different dynamic.
Yes, and to touch that, for the 20 years that I was in, I still have best friends from when I was stationed at Edwards and at Tyndall and all over the world, to where it's cool to really have those relationships that are family. That it really is like family.
Oh yeah, my dad before he had passed, a bunch of his guys came to visit in Vegas and they got to hang out with them and everything. And then mom and dad are showing me pictures of them. And I'm like, this is so crazy because they knew me and I was like this big, but it's how it grows,
Definitely.
So always have to ask, where was your most exotic, fun place you were stationed?
Wow. Okay. That's a good question. That's a two-part for me.
Okay.
So Korea,
Okay.
so that the first tour in Korea was at Kunsan Air Base.
Okay.
Back in 2004, and then 2017, 18 over in Osan. And that country, it is such a beautiful country, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a language barrier,
mm-hmm.
but it's such cultured, and it's so much to do, and it's a shock, if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
However, I'm just so honored and blessed and privileged to have explored it. When I went to Kunsan the first time, I was a young 20-something, didn't take advantage of it.
Right.
Partied and
Right.
drunk all weekend, to the point where I was like, maybe I should take a class or something. But as a master sergeant, in 2017, 18, I had a vehicle and was able to explore the actual country, and I did everything from mud fest to skydiving to really just seeing what the community and culture offered. But outside of that, Dubai, UAE.
I hear a lot about Dubai.
Was just, it was just phenomenal. And just seeing how that, country developed from, it's in its infancy to where it is now, So yeah, that's what I said, being able to travel, it just afforded so many opportunities and just experiences that, like I said, I wouldn't trade for the world.
Oh, absolutely. Every time we got stationed in a new place, my parents were very much about us getting delved in the culture and understanding where we were and getting where we're at. And I grew up in South Pacific, so most anybody that speaks any form of Asian language, when they're trying to speak English, I can understand them better than most people I know because I grew up around it, and so it's not hard for me to do it. But now my husband and I travel, and he's joining me on all right, let's get delved into the culture and figure out what this world is like, because you don't really see it if you don't just step in and live it, the way they do. So, yeah. And always knowing that invisible line. I knew right where U.S. soil ended every time.
and Google Translate works wonders.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Isn't it so much easier now? Yes, I try to learn at least certain phrases, because I figure it's a courtesy that I'm coming to your country. I should at least try to communicate appropriately. But we're really blessed. A lot of countries teach English. We're kind of spoiled in the fact that they're going to understand us. But yeah, it's a fun part of the military, getting to see the world. That was why one of the things my dad joined the Navy for. He wanted to see the world, and he did. So, I think he sailed all 7 seas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has a thing from when he passed the equator. It was a whole big thing. So you did 20 years and 4 days.
And 4 days. Don't forget those 4.
And when you started thinking about transitioning out of service, did you have a plan, or were you just kind of like, okay, I think I'm done with this portion?
So, yeah, that's a great question. So, I'm not going to say that I was just waiting to hit the button at 19 years,
Okay.
However, at that 19-year mark, and being able, after doing so many different jobs within the Air Force, from, deployment manager to, I was a superintendent managing the flight line, right? Obtaining and reattaining your identity as a mister is kind of what led me to, like I said, just getting ready to press that button and see what it's like to be Micah again, rather than Sergeant Wilson. So, I had a plan to press that button and see what else I can do afterwards. But the one thing that I used to tell my airmen is that, a lot of times there's this big, misconception that, you're going to get out the Air Force. What are you going to go do? Flip burgers? Absolutely not. The Air Force and the military gives us so many different tools and resources and just education that, it's insulting to assume that that's, all you're destined for. So I knew that at my 19-year mark, and even as when I retired at 20, that, I would continue, 1, education, and 2, just whatever passion that I had decided, that I wanted to do as, for me, for Micah. And so having all those resources and opportunities, it was a roller coaster, because we had so many options. So after retirement, during the pandemic, I utilized my GI Bill and went and got my CDL license. So I'm still a current, active CDL holder. But then that didn't work out with Swift. It didn't work out too well. You don't know what you want to do until you go do it. And there's no true OJT, if you will, with that one. But,
on the job training. Go ahead.
Thank you. On the job training.
We just try to keep up with the acronyms here. You never know if people are going to know them or not, or if they mean the same thing. You're good.
And exactly to that, so for me, I was doing CDL, driving as a trucker to, feel my passion in real estate. And so after a while, I had to just really sit back and sit still for a second and think, like, what are you doing this for? And so once again, having those options and all the resources to go and get my license. And again, I say, well, hey, let's cut to the chase. And there I am as a realtor now, fulfilling my passion to, give back to my brothers in the community as well. So yes, ma'am.
It's awesome because I think one of the most constant things we hear is people struggle with their identity when they come out of the military, because you are so used to being who you were in the military. And you get the freedom to discover who you want to be. And some people go, "Ooh, I've always wanted to do this right out the gate." And some others stick in their world where they had. Yes. My father was supply. He did logistics. When he got out, he applied at a bunch of warehouses and everything. And when he talked about it, he was like, I don't really want to do that. He ended up going into like construction defect and stuff. His father had worked in construction, and then training people on how to do estimates and stuff, and creating a training program on how to use this software to do it, just because he enjoyed it. Acting was always a thing. Speaking was always a thing. So, but he needed to give himself that time and that grace to figure it out.
Yes.
And what's phenomenal is, you guys can't see, but Micah's love is right over here. When you have a spouse that loves you and supports you and encourages you to have that grace. We've had Magnify Maggie on when she's talking about Brian's in the process of, he's going to be retiring at the end of this year, and giving him the chance to just figure out what he wants to do. You kind of got to step and take a breath.
It's that. Oh, man. So it really is that, Stevie, is that transition period, right? So let's just even think about, let's go back into your last year in the military, right? So you're still holding on to the reins of, you're managing the flight line. You still got home that you're taking care of. But all of this, and you're trying to out-process and do all the things. So I do feel that definitely within that transition period, especially for retirees, a year is not enough. I mean, I went to TAPS twice. Transition Assistance Program.
Good job. Good job, Micah.
And so, but you're still holding on to the job. And depending on your commander or your, supervision, they might not be you might, be a huge asset to where they can't afford to lose you.
Yeah.
So even that part, and that's why I said it's really difficult. Well, in that time frame, that transition to becoming, Micah, your self-identity, who you are or who you want to be, and exactly that, time and grace.
So we went from engine work, we'll just sum it up as that, to real estate, which is a obvious transition. So tell me what attracted you, inspired you, made you want to pursue real estate.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the greatest question. And that's a backstory to where my mentors in the Air Force, my first duty station, like I said, was Edwards Air Force Base right outside of Lancaster. And of course, even back then, my supervisor said, hey, Micah, make sure you purchase a home, at each duty station that you get to, and then you're able to leverage those, assets.
VA loans, we talk about these all the time.
So had I listened to my mentors back in 2000,
you were not the only one to have said this on this show.
Absolutely. So, the $100,000 home that was in Lancaster back then, easily $1 million right now.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. And so, they instructed us to do that at each duty station. So my first station was in Edwards. My second was in Tyndall, in Panama City. And then I was in the tri-state in New Jersey. And so all of these different mentors, and, after a while, I'd been telling my airmen the same things, but at the time, I just never had the, guts or know-how, the knowledge to execute. And so that was something that, as a senior NCO, we were preaching, and it just became a matter of, had I purchased a home at each duty location, we'd be financially free, But for me, it's giving back to those that don't know, right? The education or and the ignorance. And so even my plan out here, moving here, was to obtain, 5 properties in 5 years. So that I'm able to, like I said, give our family something that's tangible, that, and build some roots to where, we don't have to worry about, our housing is the number one expense, right? Of just, the living, So,
Oh, yeah. And we find a lot of conversations we've had with a lot of guests. There is I call it the information people are just enough, where they think they got it, but technically there's a lot they're missing to it. And I feel like that's a lot with the VA loans. And even though my parents have utilized theirs, and I know my in-laws utilize theirs as well, it's there's a lot of it that they don't understand and don't know about. And I think that the more we talk about that, the more we educate,
yes, ma'am.
the more people can realize. When my dad went in the Navy, you were going to be taught in your military service so that when you retired, you could join the workforce without hesitation, without pause. Somewhere along the way, that message got misconstrued. And people are thinking that the military service member isn't going to be able to do the job they need them to do, or their assumption is the military service member is going to be over, knowledgeable, aware there is. And so it hinders that opportunity for people. So I think the more that we talk about these things, we open the door. Yes, not only can you own a home, you can own a nice home. Absolutely. You can have the career you want now. You're allowed to have that second path.
Absolutely.
In your life.
Yeah. And that it's the disparity in that is that less than 15% of us, vets utilize our VA loan.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other benefits that are afforded to us afterwards. It's one where I recall, like I said, even my airmen, even just asking for military discounts at restaurants, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some are just too prideful, right? But guess what? If I could tally up how much I might have saved over 20 years of my... Now, granted, I usually give the military discount back in the tip anyway, but the point is use them. They're your benefits.
My parents would use certain stuff for travel and everything, but my father-in-law was drafted. So he went into Vietnam and came back out. He did his time and he got back out. But he asks the questions because the way he is. So he's actually advised my parents on certain things that they could pursue. And so, which has been very helpful, since daddy's gone, it helps my mom out because her income is very tight. But my dad was just one of those ones, no, that should be for one of those guys who only got to do 4 years, or no, that should be. And it's like, you're being too nice. Stop it. You served. Pride. You did. So I love that you educate on that. And I think one of the biggest things is more conversations on how they work and how they grow. We're getting more of a presence in that real estate world, whether it is on the mortgage side or on the sales side of it, with people who actually have that knowledge to share, which is so valuable to all those others. And I think the more we get people like you who go, oh, I should have done that. Yeah. Let me help walk you through it. Let me help guide you through it.
Absolutely,
the better.
Absolutely. And it's just that education and guidance, right? And just where it even starts is, if you serve, just go ahead and apply for your COE, your certificate of eligibility, right? And, from there, you get with your lender and it's possible, it's attainable. It's just disciplinary steps and actions that we've been doing through all our military career, right?
Right.
Checklist items, essentially, that can get you to the goal that you're looking for. And so that's I try to just keep it simple in that form of really explaining, the home ownership, showing up and just continue to, hit those checklist items.
Oh, absolutely. It is a viable market to have. The house my mom lives in, my parents' house, they loved it. It was perfect size for them. It wasn't a huge house. It was just size for them. They were able to get it to the VA loan. Perfect. During the time when rates were amazing, because they had an in the real estate market. I might be married to him, but it helps with that conversation. I will tell people that buying a home can be really, really scary. So having someone to help walk you through and guide you through the process. Now, you also mentioned you were part of a group of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
That are veterans, correct?
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. So the Nevada entrepreneurs, we meet, like I said, monthly. And it's just business owners throughout the community in Las Vegas. And that's what I really love about Las Vegas. I moved here some years ago, is that the acceptance of the community and everybody's goal. We're all, on the same page of just helping each other do better, right? And so from different vast, businesses, I'm a real estate agent, but, others are gym owners or chefs and, tattoo art, floor, and that's what I've loved about just being welcomed in this community, is just a melting pot full of just, humanity. It's that humanity that really that drives this city, man, and it's overlooking just the party, the usual typical of what people think of Las Vegas, right?
There is so much more Las Vegas than the Strip, my friends. Exactly. And honestly, if you ever lived on a base, you will find that outside in the suburban community, it's kind of like living on a base when you meet your military people here. It's just that same vibe to it. Now, so let's say somebody is looking to get involved in a veteran group, like with entrepreneurs and such like that. How did you find that group? What did you do?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I'm actively involved, and like I said, I comb the social media is just the same, and just find like-minded individuals like yourself and Rob. We meet throughout just the city, and we actually have an event coming up the 23rd at Horseshoe Trailer, hideout, Horse Trailer Hideout. That's what it is, off in the Art District on Main Street. But, I've always just continued to tap in with the community, with like-minded individuals, whether it's Vegas Pitch or any of the other, different branches that, really just we can share an alliance,
Oh, absolutely. Social media has made it so much easier to research things and find groups and stuff like that. So when you guys meet for once a month, are you guys just kind of networking and talking about what's going on and how you're dealing and everything? So it's just a safe space for those business owners to come in.
Yes, ma'am. And it's not just only military as well. We're just catering a military appreciation week this next week coming up. But like I said, we'll definitely be recommending, to check out Stevie Dahl, and that's just how it continues, right? And so, each of our olive branches, it just really extends, through these relationships, and that's what it's about, right? Whether it's business, B2B business relationships, or just helping out a person that needs a home, or a platform or outlet. And so, yes, ma'am.
See, the thing for me is everybody deserves to have a voice, and not everybody wants to stand up and be that voice. So I will stand up and I will be your voice. No problem. Never been an issue for me. My sister's going to be in the background, be like, go get him. She is just fine with it. That's but that's the different dynamics you run into. And I think when you get groups like that, where you have all these different business, entrepreneurial mindset and where they go, because you can contribute to each other. Military mindset, the way you handle things, the way you organize, I break stuff down still the way my dad taught me from military mindset.
Absolutely.
I'm a little OCD. Okay. Versus, someone who has that brainstorming. The company I work for, the people who started it are completely they came from nothing and built that up. Their minds are amazing. So to be able to share that knowledge with people, whether they served or not, just that conversation door opening is so huge.
Absolutely.
I think, and we got to get more to where we're all working together on it to have those discussions,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because that's going to be key.
And that's it. Really recognizing that there's strength in numbers. One, to where it's so scary thinking that you can do it alone. Right. And so being able to lean on your resources, lean on your brothers, and leverage. It's easier to build together than it is doing it on your own. And that's what I've been learning tenfold since after.
Oh, it's 100% true. We started this podcast. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew where we wanted to go, but we needed to hear what people needed to hear. We can come up with topics and guests, but is it valuable to you? Is it going to add some help to you? We've had some phenomenal guests come in and be very candid when they've hit the lows of lows and how they came up out of it. And I know for sure them being that upfront and honest helps somebody who maybe was in the dark. That's, to me, that's everything right there.
It's exactly that. And as you mentioned that, even just thinking back to, someone asked me the other day, what was, most rewarding about the military career? It really was just knowing that if you helped one person, right, throughout the whole time that you did your job. And so even moving forward with, these relationships within business, being able to link a person that from one business to another, hey, you've done your services for humanity, man. And I really value that a lot.
Oh, absolutely. We had Charmac Builders was on, Mark McGee, and he was never served. His father had served. They did a construction company. It started off where they would do insurance, fire repairs on homes. Yeah. They've transitioned now to the point where they help veterans who get grants to get their house built accessible because of their disabilities.
Perfect.
And he's telling us stories of what he's doing. And I still get chills now. Like I'm getting goosebumps on my arm. That is so cool that one little turn in the road changed the entire path. I mean, you worked with big engines and made planes fly and everything. People would probably assume your automatic step would be to go work in mechanics, continue on a different field. But for you, it was that home ownership, sharing that education that meant more, you know? And I love that. I think it should be personal to your heart.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
whatever you do.
Doing that, and like I said, I made a pact with God rest his soul, Big John, one of my mentors, man. So we decided that we're not going to get dirty after we retire.
I love it. We're not going to get dirty.
But particularly, man, it really is that, just passing it along and passing it forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what have you found, especially being an entrepreneur? Because in real estate you are. I don't know how many of you understand the way the real estate world works, but it is up to you. You're the one making it happen, Captain, at the end of the day. What have you taken from your military service and transitioned to make you successful in your real estate career?
Great question, Stevie. I've found that with anything, half of the battle is showing up.
Well, that's true.
It really is that just, sticking to those disciplines and, sticking to your word and being where you're at when you say you're going to be there. And just, it's the simple disciplinary steps, man, that the little bit goes such a long way. And so I feel that with the consistency, right? We already know you got to show up every day. And it gets hard, and it's going to be hard. Yeah. But it's having those support systems and teams put in place that make those hard days a little bit easier. And so I really do feel that, the success is leaning on your resources and support system and community that really has helped me thus far.
Gotcha. Now, when you went and decided to go into the military service, was the discipline of it kind of an attractive quality to you? Like it's organized, or were you like, this'll do?
Yeah, so my father, he was in
There's a slight hesitation in this answer. This is going to be fun. Go ahead.
So, that definitely was not one that I was expecting or even looking forward to. My father, he was in the Army. My grandfather was in World War II.
Okay.
So I have some, military family background. Yeah. However, it is a shock. It's a culture shock when you get off that bus in basic training, right? And so it definitely took an adjustment from a kid from Chicago to get used to somebody hollering in your face, right? So
and you don't holler back. There's the lesson one, okay?
yes, to get your bearings and all of that, and just really to be able to be teachable, coachable, and listen, right? And learning discipline, it takes a lot. But I will say after my first, my 6-year tour, my 6-year commitment, you learn the ins and outs of anything. And then, time flies when you're having fun, Stevie. And that's really what it was for me, because every few years you get stationed at another assignment, to where once you get tired of somebody or I don't like it here, that's the one thing. That's how you travel the world, right? Because, as soon as you're having fun, it's all right, it's time to go. So.
Yeah, we moved every 2 years, and I loved it. I loved the moving every 2 years. And then we got stationed in Denver because Daddy was supply. We could be any base. And I think it was Lowry was where we were at in Denver. And we ended up getting stationed there for 3 years. Now, I may have been a little bit of a troublemaker in my youth. And it was really easy every 2 years to just be like, see ya. And then we stayed another year. Well, that was a learning lesson.
You gotta deal with that.
Oh, wait, we're staying. We're going to have to go back and fix some of those things we did then. Because you did. I loved the whole fact. We were going somewhere new. We had a new adventure we were going to go to. Every place we lived did I love. As long as there was a beach, I'm really not hard to please in that aspect of it. So I'm a happy girl. Right. But Denver, nice to visit my nephew. I'm good. I like the heat. So that's
snow and mountains. That was
not my cup of tea. Not at all. Now my husband, the opposite. So, we don't vacation there, but he talks about wanting to vacation places with the snow. So, I figure as long as we talk about it, then I'm at least helping. Okay. I'm at least helping. That's gone from my, he's got addicted to beaches too. So, So I will say one of the things that I thought was amazing, and I like to hear that you got to travel quite a bit, because everybody's military career is different. Not everybody transitions that much around. Not everybody's in it full time. You know, it just kind of depends on who it is on it. But embracing the adventure of it, I think, is such a strong mindset to have, because it helps when you transition out of service. It's just another adventure you're going on, you know, and it keeps you going to. We can't handle how things will affect us. We can handle how we react to them. And so I think that's a huge battle, especially with the mental health side of it when we talk about people getting out, because it's a lot. It's a lot. Now, did you ever have to go serve in any combat time?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I supported combat Iraqi Freedom. I was at Kirkuk Air Base in Iraq, man, and that was the true eye opener back in 2008. Right, and it's definitely one where you realize what you're here for, what you're here to do, and what you're supporting and what you're defending. And so firsthand, I wasn't, being in the Air Force, I wasn't outside of the FOB, Forward Operating Base. Yeah. But at the time, I was performing as a military police. Right, I was activated to do that. And so even inside, just maintaining the installation, it was such an eye opener. Had its challenges, to where you don't realize, once you take it all off and go back home to your regularly scheduled program, the effect that it has on you till afterwards. So, yeah, that was certainly an eye opener, and that's why I respect those who hit the ground daily on it. Oh
yeah, so yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to see. My father is one of the rare few that came back from Vietnam mentally okay. But he went into it with such a different mindset than most people, and the ways he handled it, and in his faith in his Christianity and everything about it just is what held him strong to do his thing. We've had some amazing guests on here talking about different treatments that are out there now. Because like we were saying, one of them, it's very hard to talk to a therapist that's never experienced combat about what you're experiencing from combat. And so sometimes it's these community groups like, you're in, we've done 22 Warriors Foundation has been on the show. We've had we had Randy's group with the Fit Company and everybody. And it's all about just putting people in a situation where if they want to talk, they can, but they don't have to. They can find a way to find that. Fitness tends to be a common stress release and balancer for people. I know it is for me. My treadmill is a clarity thing, but yeah, I found that especially with the military individuals, it's just because that's part of what you do.
Yes, ma'am. That has been just the therapy throughout all of the years, right? And it really helps mitigate the stress, because we're so prideful, right? That we take it on the chin, shut up and color, right? Yeah. And yeah, you're right, Stevie. I didn't see any therapy until after I was retired. Right. A lot of us, were fear of reprisal of getting our duty position taken away from he went to mental health. That's that stigma that's behind it that leads so many to feel that they're helpless. And so it's really important to just be the friend and call up and say, hey man, you need it, how you doing? Right. And so that's one that I've recognized, and just really I'm the friend. I'll call you out the blue and say what's up,
Well, I think that there's old school mindsets that need to be burst and destroyed. And you are not weak if you seek out therapy for something. That doesn't make you weak. I say this all the time. I hate emotions. I'm not weak because I cry. I don't like it. As I get older and my hormones do their own things, I cry a lot easier than I used to. But, I think that's part of the reason a lot of people don't, because, then I'm not supposed to. I'm weak if I do. Yeah. No, you're not. You're actually stronger than anyone else if you're willing to say, hey, I need to talk to someone about this. And it doesn't have to be a therapist. It can be a fellow veteran you can talk to. It can be, encompassing in some way. Military spouses, talk to each other. Have those conversations. I find that, and this isn't just military community, but when you see someone who is in whether it is a physically, emotionally, or mentally abusive relationship, married, whatever. The strongest thing they can do is realize how wrong it is and walk away. And people don't realize what it takes to do that. And if I could say anything to anyone going through something similar like that out there, it would be you are not alone. You can walk away. If you are scared to walk away, call me. I know a bunch of veterans, okay?
Yes,
because you are allowed to live a good life. And I think that's something people get misconstrued about with it. And I think that's part of what's intimidating when you come out of that military world back in the civilian world is you're like, wow, now it's my chance to do whatever I want to do. Mm-hmm. The hell do I want to do?
What do I do with my hands? It's exactly that. And, have an opportunity because we can, right?
Right.
And so I'm a huge proponent of, you can do whatever you want to do. It really is putting your mind to it and, going on that path and deciding what it is. And I will say, it took a while.
Yeah,
for
take
time
a minute.
and grace and to be specific, right, about what it is that you really want to do and the impact that you going to have on your lifestyle as well as your loved ones. And so it takes some time and grace to really figure that out, whether it's 20 years or the 4 years coming out, so it's a transition that's only 1% of Americans take that oath to do, and it's special.
It is. And the thing is, I loved that you talked about how you went down one path and that really wasn't what you wanted to do. And people don't realize that's what you should do in life.
Yeah.
You got to dip your toe in and test the waters and go, nope, you know what? Thought that was my career. That is not my career. I live in the staffing world. I watch this all the time. Everybody wants that career, but you have to find what fulfills you, what makes you, if you have a passion about it, that's going to help you be successful because it's in your heart. I think that's why real estate clicked for you versus the other careers, because it kind of always had been back in your heart of something that you were like, I could totally do this,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, and I think that's key. I mean, my husband's amazing in sales. He's been in real estate in Vegas over 22 years. And he started off like in electronics, sales in electronics. But when he handles clients, when he talks to clients, this is my favorite story, is there was an inspection done on a home. He was with the buyer. And when the inspection came back, they found mold in the garage. The entire garage had like black mold. And before he called his client, he already had 3 quotes from different companies to fix it, had already talked to the other agent about what could work out in the deal to make sure it wasn't an enormous cost for anybody, and set it up so that he did something that my dad taught me from his military time. He didn't just show up with a problem. He came and told you the problem, but he had the solution for it. And that's where I think there's that little edge above when you get that in careers, is when you are that passionate about, you're going to take that extra step to have that solution.
Yes. Be proactive instead of reactive. Absolutely.
100%. Oh my gosh, 100%.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
All right. So now you do residential.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
And how much of your business do you get a chance to deal with a lot of veterans and do VA loans?
So I'm expanding to work with our fellow vets over at Nellis and everything.
Okay.
And so for me, it really has been just, reaching out with our B2B businesses and, entrepreneurs as well to just expand that education and, show them the process. So I'm working with one of my friends right now who's transitioning from Michigan and has a job, pending over at on Nellis with Pratt, and so just showing, doing those video tours for him on behalf.
Yes. FaceTime has made it a whole nother world.
And so it's just been, real estate is a relationship-based business, right?
It is.
So keeping those relationships strong has been one that I've been very blessed and benefit from.
Absolutely. I will tell you, I think any business is a relationship business. It just depends on how you construe and run it. We started this, we wanted people to join. We've started getting people asking questions online, people commenting on things, people getting things. We had a guest who said the whole reason JB joined the Army was because he went in, they said, do you want to jump out of planes and blow stuff up? And he was like, all right, cool, I'll do that.
I'll take it.
Like, great sales pitch on it. But it's that whole building that to understand that and grow. I'm actually extremely proud. My best friend from high school reached out to me the other day. Her son had gone to be a Marine, and he tested, and the naval officer came up to him and said, you need to go into the Navy, and we're going to talk to you about, I believe, nuclear subs.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Because he tested as strong as he tested. I couldn't be more proud of Trevor. Good on you, baby girl. Go make it happen. But he wouldn't have known if he didn't try. And that's like the biggest thing I think we find out. I think sometimes when you get comfortable in the military life, you're going to transition to the civilian world. You don't realize you still just need to try.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You know?
Yeah, and part of that was for me that's the reason why. I mean, you know, you can never take the education away. I can still turn wrenches, you know, but you would never know if you didn't go try. So it's half the battle. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't want to put ourselves in a box. It's so easy to think this is what I do. This is where I am. This is my life. I mean, my goodness, you know, you could do so much just giving it a shot, talking about it. Yeah. So I think that's so amazing and wonderful. Now, how you were a truck driver.
Yes.
And
6 months.
6 months. All right. And then what did you do after that? Were you just doing the education to lead into real estate or was it?
You know what? Once again, just many opportunities. So after driving truck for about 6 months, I actually worked with my brother on the Strip as a chauffeur. So I did that for about a year and, you know, worked with the high celebrity clientele and, you know, drove the Sprinter vans and, you know, limo service and, you know, just really being enthralled in the you know, Las Vegas, right? And as much as fun as it was in the nightlife and all of that, once again, my passion as I was saving my paychecks was to, you know, like I said, invest. And so even while I was chauffeuring, I was, you know, doing my school in real estate school. And, you know, I let my employer know that, hey, I'm going to take the position. I'm going to help you out. I want to, you know, do this. Yeah. But it's to facilitate this. And I'm really glad that I stuck to my guns on that. Because, I mean, although it was fun, I could still be out on the Strip. And, you know, I still have those relationships. But once again, it really is about, you know, going for your goals and what, you know, was going to make you happy and sleep better at the end of the night. You know?
Well, what I love is that you were passionate about it. It's something you wanted to do, but you still put together a strategic plan to get to that point because I am a person who runs to the end of the cliff and jump off and goes, let's do this. And sometimes you need to make sure you have a plan before you do the jump, which is why I'm married to the man I'm married to, because it'd be like, well, before we jump, let's get a parachute. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've definitely done a lot of jumping and that's it. And that's why after a while, like, why are you still jumping? Like, for what? For the why. And it just, you know, it made sense. I went ahead and, you know, signed up at Key Realty and paid for that myself and hadn't looked back, you know.
That's awesome. Yes, that's wonderful. Yeah. I think it's great. And what I like is that you can see your genuine joy in what you do, which for me, I think is key in any. I mean, you know, Rob, my guy, he loves every bit of every day of what he does. This is my favorite part of working with him. He's always happy about life. Yeah. I love that about him. Rob's got my joy, my friend there. But it's in everything you do. So my job as director of security, I deal with some dark stuff. But I take great joy in when somebody reaches out and says, hey, you know, that one training that happened or that email that you sent that sent the alert or whatever. I caught on email. I didn't click the bad link or I didn't do, and then it's like, okay, there was just a little bit of somebody protected.
There we go.
Go Steph.
Small victories.
Yeah, I will. I'll take them every day long. So especially with AI, it's really making my life interesting. So what do you hope that you are going to be able to accomplish like in the next couple of years? You're building that connection with the Nellis. Are you hoping to get a really like maybe a community together for those veterans and such interested in
Yes, ma'am.
the real estate world?
That's a couple, that's twofold as well. So definitely passionate about continuing educating us veterans and using our benefits, whether it's VA, education, and all of that, and on that journey. But also in addition to showing veterans the professional pathway of becoming a real estate agent. You know, had I known at 17 that I could have gotten my real estate license, maybe I might not have gone into the military. You know, who knows? However, it's that as well, being able to bridge that gap of education and professionalism to continue to build a brand and business, to bring back that education and just continue to pass the sword.
That's awesome. I'm going to challenge you to not limit it to veterans.
Absolutely.
Because military spouses are usually the ones checking out the property before you are moving in there. They're setting the stuff up. A lot of times they're the one paying the bills. We've had conversations about this. Bill Gaylord talks about all the time, like some great mortgage officers are actually military spouses because they know the VA loan. They have lived that world.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and I think that's awesome, and that's a great way to go. It is that continuing education. It is those open discussions with everybody. It is that conversation that goes along. I talk a lot about businesses that different military family members may have, and it's from everyone from the veteran all the way down to the children and where they go. And sometimes maybe it skips a generation, and it's going from there. My niece and nephew are ridiculously intelligent. Kick my butt any day with their knowledge, and watching them excel and grow forward in their fields and doing what they do has been phenomenal to see. And I can see they've got some, not necessarily habits, but thought patterns that they picked up that my father, when he was alive, would just how he talked, how he did, and and they're making it work in their world. And I love to see that, that it continues to transition down, because you can always learn more. The instant you stop learning, you're in trouble. Yeah. My bosses have a saying. They say, when you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot.
Oh, I like that one. I'm going to use
and
that
one. It is in the core, man. It is in the core, because it's true. It is very true. It's phenomenal to see how it goes and where it grows on it. And I appreciate having someone. You have such a calm personality and are a very approachable individual, which is key in real estate. Just saying. But the fact that you're willing to educate and reach it, I think you're going to get a lot of people who will listen that maybe wouldn't have listened before, just because of that, your demeanor and that. So that's awesome to me that you're willing to share that with the community and take it to that level. So come back and talk more about it after you get it started. And if you need me, you call me.
Absolutely.
Be right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get your wife on an episode. She just didn't know it yet, because we always do the spouse's point of view. Well, I appreciate you coming on here today and talking with us about this so much. I appreciate your candor. I know it's not easy to discuss if you've been in situations like combat.
Yeah.
And we've had several guests ranging from those who've been in the front lines to those who were in position like you. It doesn't matter where you were. It affects you in a way. So I think the more we're open and have those conversations, the more people we can potentially help to hear that they are not stuck by themselves out in that. And I thank you so much for your 20 years and 4 days.
4 days
of service. I'll tell you, when I turned 21 and they took my military ID away, I cried. It actually said on my ID card, expires October 29th at midnight. I'm like, geez, that's mean. Okay. Or like 11:59 or something. Right. So, but that used to be an outing. Go on the base with mom and dad. Go to the commissary. I still love it.
Commissary.
Oh my gosh, commissary and exchange. That's in the food court outside the exchange. I don't know why, but that stuff's just fun for me to do. Well, thank you so very much for being on the show and stepping in, and what you're doing for the community and for your service. It's really really appreciated. And I know that you are going to make an impact and help a lot of people. And I think that's awesome that you're willing to do that. So thank you so much for doing that for me.
Thank you so much, Stevie, for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, you know what time it is? It's time to check out the website at homefrontharmony.org, because we've got it rolling, and you can actually reach out to us and tell us if there's topics you want us to discuss. We've got some of our resources in there for you to reach out to. If we're missing a resource you want us to have, then you let us know, and we will make sure we get that on there. You also have access to every single episode that we do, so you can go back and watch one and maybe see one you missed that might have some value to you, because we want you to be able to see them all. I want to thank you all for joining us again. I love you all. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful rest rest of your day.
Painted photographs, covered now with lines and creases, tickets torn in half.